Could you please tell us a bit about yourself?
My name is Jill Fahy. I am the director of STEP at Eastern Illinois University. I'm also a professor in the Department of Communication Disorders and Sciences here at Eastern. STEP is an autism support program for degree-seeking college students who are academically ready to move into the world of the college curriculum, but may need some additional support behind the scenes.
Could you please tell us a bit about Eastern Illinois University and the surrounding community?
Eastern Illinois University, we're a small public regional university. We're actually ranked #1 in independent public regional schools in Illinois by U.S. News and World Report, #7 regionally in the top best value school ranking. So Eastern is located in central Illinois. We are surrounded by cornfields, but easily accessible from St. Louis, Indianapolis, Chicago. We have a very small teacher to student ratio. It feels kind of like a private school where, it's small enough that we know each other. I know faculty that I have known for years, and offices and staff, and I can look out my window and see students go by, and I know who they are and where they're going.
Could you please tell us about the STEP program?
STEP, we're in our 10th year of existence. STEP was originally created by one of my colleagues in communication disorders and science, wherein she took that natural opportunity for us to provide help and services to a handful of students and then created a more formal programs. We moved from our first year providing help to about 5 students, and now we land anywhere between 26 and 28. Sometimes 29 in any given year. We are here to support students who are admitted to the university and they are seeking that degree. So this is a program supporting degree-seeking college students. And they, just like any other college student, they are applying for admission to the university through those same types of admission criteria, whether they're coming in as a first-time freshman or transferring in from a community college. We're looking to find a way to help support those students who are coming in from high school or community college with some pretty strong college prep coursework so that they have a sense of really being able to land in the college classroom with a taste for what's to come in terms of the academic load in reading, writing, communicating, and learning, and developing those aspects of critical thinking that all college students move through as they transition from those freshman level gen ed courses to things that are more higher level and somewhat demanding in their areas of concentration or their chosen majors. We approach this as a way of facilitating gradual levels of increasing independence and self-determination and self-regulation. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what really each of us wants. And families certainly want that for their student, and the students themselves want to feel as though they are leaving home and they are moving towards that new level of self-determination and independence. And yet, STEP can provide them with a bit of scaffolding, graded levels of support, and a way of helping them think through, problem solve, anticipate, evaluate as they encounter all of the things any college student does. We work with both individual one-on-one conversations each week with our students, as well as small group skill building sessions that are structured and predictable and built into a student's weekly routine. We also then facilitate behind the scenes with the more flexible peer interactions and social and recreational leisure support. So it's a nice balance of things that are predictable and established each week, and then also supported by some of the other things that can float and move a little bit with that student's interests and might meet the needs of this week if it's more busy or less busy.
What are some of the foundational principles of the STEP program?
Our approach is looking at ways to facilitate self-awareness, self-monitoring, really helping students evaluate what are the things that I excel at? What are the skills and strategies that I already have on board and I can use them reliably to help me get through my day? Conversely, what are some of the skills that maybe I do not yet have fully developed? Am I fairly good with planning, but I'm really struggling a little bit with monitoring and tracking time? Or perhaps I feel confident in those areas about how I budget my day, but my main issue and my main worry happens to be with the way that I use my communication skills to advocate for myself or to connect with people or to solve problems. So we're trying to not be too prescriptive with somebody, but rather to help them engage in some self-analysis that we do facilitate. We also strive to help students improve their skills and strategies in executive functions, in their social communication, so that they are able to better self-advocate. And then we also provide supports and a network for them to engage in connecting with other people, groups, clubs, things that are of interest to them outside of sitting in that classroom. And ultimately, we hope to help students move all the way to that point where we can be that reflective listener as they talk through, how do I want to handle this week? How do I want to handle this semester? How do I want to handle this dilemma? How do I want to handle that conflict with someone that lives online? So our goal is to always try to help the student develop awareness, develop goals that reflect what they want, think about the skills and strategies they have, build those, and then be able to use them in real time in the real world itself.
About how many students are in the STEP program, and what does the application process entail?
So in order for us to provide the types of services that we are designed to do, that our philosophy and mission incorporates, individual, small group, structured study tables, peer supports, we are capped at no more than 30 students in any given academic year. Students and their families are visiting us year-round. They are making those inquiries and coming for a campus visit. And we schedule conversations with them to provide an overview of our services, and also for us to get a sense of what kind of needs and what level of support and how frequently that particular student might need. Sometimes families are coming when the student is a junior in high school, sometimes a senior, and of course, sometimes they are at a community college. We do have an application process, and students do not need to be admitted to the university before they visit us. I often encourage families to do those two things concurrently and simultaneously. We are looking for a diagnosis of autism. That is part of our documentation, as well as just a general overview of an application. And then we have some questionnaires, a parent, a teacher, and a student questionnaire that dig into areas of executive function, self-awareness, and self-determination. Like, how motivated is that student? Does that student want support? Social interaction, communication, how well the student is able to regulate and manage and cope with some of the stressors and emotional components of daily life. We are also looking at if that student has an IEP or a 504 plan. We'll look at those things, and then a neuropsychological assessment as well, which gives us an opportunity to really feel like we know a lot about the student on paper. But then we always do an interview conversation so that we can meet that student and listen to the things that they want. What does the student want to do? What is the student looking forward to? What is that student the most worried about? It really lets us find out what it is that student feels they do well and how they might want help from us were they to be here on campus.
How do you help students develop strong study habits and academic skills?
We structure study tables, 6 hours for most students, spaced out during the week, that are a dedicated time and opportunity for students to be present, to hold themselves accountable, to have materials, so that we are not tutoring you specifically, but we are here and we can help you think about how to organize that, how to approach this, how might I look at that differently. It gives us an opportunity also to observe what challenges that student has, perhaps with complex attention and concentration, or flexible thinking, or strategic reasoning, or where might they begin to have difficulty with different types of critical thinking. So it's an opportunity for us also to learn a lot about how that student approaches their academic work. We have 7 different small group sessions. So for example, we have different levels of executive function small group work. At a foundational level where we're really working, those students are coming in with their actual assignments, with their actual daily challenges, and we are working to teach and build and enhance planning strategies, breaking tasks down, evaluating task requirements, determining which things are urgent and what is a priority, evaluating feedback and figuring out how and why did I lose those points, matching that up with strategically thinking about how to shift the way that I study. So foundational executive functions and applied at a higher level, where students are really trying to balance not only parts of an assignment, but maybe parts of an entire day or an entire week, multiple things competing.
Can you tell us more about the small groups you have created to support different student needs?
We have 2 to 3 different types of social communication small groups. Depends on the mix of students we have and what they might need. So anything from social initiation, being able to gather up my thoughts and figure out how do I want to communicate this critical information, and how do I manipulate and manage my message strategically. If I'm speaking with a peer, a classmate, a staff person at an office, a professor. So we have a strategic communication group, and we have a flexibility group that we focus a lot in social flexibility on perspective taking and thinking about what other people might feel, want, need, know. You get to choose how, when, or if to use these skills, because it's not about making you a different person. It is about giving you the opportunity to dig into things that you can take with you and go out into the world and apply. We also do a life and self-coaching group and a work-life transition group.
What support do you provide to new freshmen as they transition to college?
And our first-time freshmen come in and we do a College 101, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like, but it's a more dedicated, focused way of looking at the nuts and bolts of colleging. Some of our students who are approaching graduation or who are maybe needing less help in other areas, they'll be in our life and self-coaching group, and we explore a lot of conversations about who they feel they are as a person and how they view themselves in their community, whether that be here at college or in a pre-professional community or their family, as they think about ways they use coping strategies, or how they feel expressing themselves and the goals they want for themselves. So we have individual coaching, small group skill building, structured study tables.
Can you please tell us more about your peer mentoring program?
We also have a broad team of peer mentors. So each student is paired up with a fellow student here on campus. And those are students who are coming to us and applying to be a peer mentor. And it's a trusted confidant, someone who's been through it. I've also been a new student. I remember that professor. I remember that class.
How do you support students' social connections?
So we host monthly social events, and they can be anything from quiz night to Halloween costume competition or movie night, bowling. really those just can depend on the mix of things people happen to be interested in. We have a weekly meet and eat group, and about every other week, some small group activities that are taking place on campus. So we will facilitate those opportunities, and we will facilitate a way to meet and go someplace, talk about what's coming, talk about what's expected, or how to feel comfortable getting out of your room and doing things, as well as a rec and leisure component to our program where we spend a lot of individual time speaking with students to learn about their interests and what they feel are barriers to being able to access those interests. And then our rec and leisure facilitator spends time helping make those things happen. Do you need help making the connection? So we try to help not only give students tools they can use to be successful academically, but also in their attempts to communicate and connect, and then to expand those connections within the greater university and community at large.
How do you support student career goals?
In our work life, we spend a lot of time helping students explore career interests, their job skills, reflect back on skills they may have had already. We help them get ready for conversations with the campus career services office. So we may be helping you put drafts together of a resume. We may be helping you think about some of the demands of the workplace environment and how those might differ from what you've become really skilled at navigating academically. We'll talk about how they feel about disclosing their diagnosis and whether they choose or want to or might need to. We're talking a lot about, reflecting on the differences that they between their college experience and maybe how have they navigated talking about their autism as a college student, and how or if they might want to talk about that as a future employee.
What other offices on campus do you work closely with?
We are heavily connected with other offices and service supports on campus. So I'm in weekly contact with, for example, the director of housing, the director of our counseling center, the dean of students, the academic support or the academic success center, our director of accessibility and accommodations office. There are about 12 of us on a Monday morning conference call so that we can share concerns about the student body at large, students who might be in crisis or who have needs.
What housing options are available to STEP students?
Our students are living in housing across campus just as any other student is. They are coming in and living as a freshman and making choices about which residence hall they would like to live in, just as any other student. Most of our students, that said, most of them choose to live in one particular residence hall, and they end up staying there for a long time. Nearly everybody is living in a room without. And if that student might have a documented disability that would require that they have a single room, they can approach that conversation through the Office of Accessibility and Accommodations. But any student is free and welcome to request a single room. And I think it really benefits our students to be able to come home at the end of a long day, a demanding day, and have time to decompress and be with their thoughts and think about and reflect and do the things that they might really need to in order to regroup for the next day.
How do you define success for your STEP students?
When I think about what makes a student successful, we look at a lot of the data points like graduation rate and GPAs and things, because some of those are concrete markers that are kind of easier to manage. But sometimes I also look at the flexibility and the breadth of goals that families have. Some students, their success is making it through that semester and getting this degree, or making it through a number of years and getting that degree. And what comes after is sort of the next chapter, and they and their families are kind of going to begin to navigate that next. 70% of the students who come through our program are earning that degrees. And I think that really just says a lot about their tenacity and their perseverance. And I hope that it also speaks to the supports that our program offers.
Big thanks to Jill Fahy and the STEP program at Eastern Illinois University. Please subscribe to Inclusive Academia.